Welcome to Chapter 3. Now what we're going to cover is moving our trade forward in time to see how well it would have performed. To do this, there's several different ways. We're going to show you the easy way, and then we'll show you the little bit more advanced ways a lot of our mentorship students will be using, being on the fact that they are going to be actively adjusting and managing this trade to squeeze out an extra 5, 10, 15, or even 20% out of this trade some months. First thing we're going to do is we need to move the screen around a little bit so we can see the information we need. Most important right now is seeing what the chart did, seeing what the options did. So as I said earlier, back trades is a simple way you can keep track of the two spreads that you found to create your iron condor. But we don't necessarily want to use this as brand new traders. As I said before, I would rather you wrote the information down on a sheet of paper. That way you can track it by hand, as you'll see will be simpler here in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move this window down. To do that, above back trades is a gray line. When you move your mouse over that gray line, you'll notice you have a little bit of an indicator you can move that window around. I'm going to slide it down to hide it. That way I can see my options chain and I can see my chart. So what I'm going to do is move forward one day at a time on each one. To move forward one day at a time on the chart, we come over here to the slider arrow on the right hand side, click that once, it adds in 1 day. Now it doesn't look like much has happened on that day, but we can see how it's affected our options by coming up here and moving forward 1 day on our options. We click forward on 1 day, well, we need to see what happened. So let's move up to the two option spreads we were looking at. And these spreads, and here's the reason it's a quick reference to keep in back trade. We were trading the 360, 350 and the 620, 630. So we slide up here till we see 360, 350. Here's our 360, 350. Now a little trick that I use is I like to click on that mark column. It won't add any trades in or out of my back trades, but what it will do is highlight it blue. That way as I move forward, I can quickly reference the trade I looked at. So here we sold it for 50 cents, now it's worth 32 cents. Looking good, but we're only 1 day in the trade, nothing to do. Let's check the progress of our call trade. Slide down, and you'll notice how we clicked in that mark column earlier, so it's still highlighted, the 620 and the 630. That's gone up in price to 72 cents. Not so good, being in the fact we sold it for 45, now would have to buy it back for 72. But again, this is looking at it each day, where in reality, we do want to check it each day, but the little movements from the P&L each day aren't going to be the major focus of our back testing. We're going to see how the strategy performs following the rules given in the cash flow workshop, so that we just want to make sure it stays below 620 and above 360. Now, here's where you could, if you're tracking it in back trades, take a look at your P&L. If you move this window up, here's your P&L date. Well, we want this to obviously match our chart and our options chain. Options chain is on January 6th, so we move this forward 1 day to January 6th. Now here's where it gets a little bit confusing using the back trades, and why I have you write it down on paper. So we can see that on our put trade we've made $17.50. On our call trade we've lost $27.50. So net this out, we're down $5 in the trade after 1 day. Again, no big deal, because we're not managing this. We're not watching the P&L swings for each day. We're watching the performance of this trade for each month. So what we're going to do is, again, we'll just slide that back trades down to hide it. And I want you to move forward 1 day at a time when you first start back testing. This may sound tedious at first, but you'll eventually get the hang of it. It will speed up, but it's very important to do this, because what will happen is you'll understand you need to watch the trade as it develops and not just whiz through it each month. So to do that, again, click on the arrow again, adds another day. Well, the market went back down, so see how that affected our trades. Move up, click forward 1 day forward in our options chain. We've got our call side we're looking at here. Well, call side went back down as expected, went to 42 cents. Let's see what happened to our put trade. Scroll up, find our put trade. Now our put trade has gone down in value as well to 40 cents. So that's looking good. Remember, we sold this one for 50, now it's trading for 40. That's good, made 10 cents there. On the call side, sold this for 45 cents, could buy it back for 42 cents. We made 3 cents. Again, we're not expecting big changes, because our trade will make money as time evaporates out of the options. And that really won't start happening for a couple of weeks. But again, keep moving forward in time. So we'll just move forward a couple days here. Once you have gone through several months of moving forward and watching your options one day at a time, watching your graph one day at a time, you'll get the feel for being able to move forward a couple of days before anything major will happen or any changes will happen in your options. So move forward a couple of days here, and you can see that what's happened is the stock has trended down a little bit. So this date, to find the date, we just highlight the last bar. You look down at the bottom here, you'll see 112 was the last date on the chart. Let's make that match with our options chain. Again, move it forward to 112. And when we're here on 112, let's take a look at our options. Well, we're looking at the call side. It's gone down to about 12 cents right now. That's really good. We sold it for 45. We could buy it back for 12, meaning we're up about, 33 cents right now on the call side. Scroll up and take a look at the put trade. Well, the put trade has gone up in value because what's happened is as the markets move down, this spread has become more valuable. So now we see that we've sold it for 50 and bought it back for, we could buy it back for 90. We take a loss of 40 cents on this side. So get a feel for how the market works. The purpose of this is, again, get a feel for how the market works. If the market goes down, what happens to the option prices? Is there anything that seems a bit unusual? Maybe the market goes sideways and the options shrink in value rather quickly. That might be something like volatility. We'll explain it in our DVD Club of the Month. Also, it could be have to do something with the Greeks, which we talk about in our DVD Club of the Month as well. So move forward here, and what we're going to do for time's sake is just roll forward to the next month so we can get on to Chapter 4 to be adding on the second month's spread. So here we are, 112. We're just going to move forward a couple of days, and all of a sudden, here's where the January options expire. And what we want to do is roll forward until we see about the 1st of February. We'll show you why. So roll forward a couple more days, 28th, and 30th, and there you go. February 2nd is the first trading day in February. See, here's the 30th, here's the 2nd. Looks like there was a long weekend in there. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we'll move our chart, move our chain to match our chart. So since we were moving forward so many days at a time, I'm going to actually open up the calendar window, move forward into February, and click on February 2nd. That'll reload our options chain. Now when it reloads the options chain, you're going to lose the highlights that you put on your trades. So you have to, again, come back down, 2 trades we're trading, 350, 360, click on Mark to re-highlight that one. Scroll down the call side. We're trading the 620, 630 on the call side. Here's a 620, 630. Click on that one to re-highlight it. Now again, we have to click in the Mark column, because if we click in the bid column or the ask column, what it will do is add a trade into our back trades, and we don't want to do that yet. So let's move the back trades while we're here forward to the same date. Move this to February 2nd. Now looking pretty good. We're making $5 on our put side. We're making $42 on our call side, or about 0.5% on the put side, for about 4% on the call side. Now here's why we don't want you to keep tracking the trades in backtest. If you're just backtesting the very simple version, as a cash flow graduate student would first start out doing, keeping them in back trades is okay. I would still rather have you track it on paper. However, as our mentorship students know, because they're well versed in adjusting and manipulating these credit spreads to squeeze out that extra 10, 15, 20, 25% sometimes each month out of the trade, what a mentorship student would look at doing at this point is they could come out, buy back this call spread for 5 cents, locking in 40 cents in profit. We initially sold it for 45 cents. If we could buy it back for 5 cents, the difference there would be 40 cents or 4% we made on that side. But there's still time in this trade where we can go out. We may look at selling a closer in the money spread to take advantage of the movement, the ebbs and flows that the market has given us. Again, that's something the mentorship students are well versed in. So that's why we encourage all of our cash flow graduate students to get into that mentorship to be able to squeeze that extra 10, 15, 20% out of the market. But the reason is we don't keep it in back trades is because if we wanted to close this one out, what we would do is click on the ask column. Now, if we do this in the trade tab, that creates our closing order. If we do this in think back, what happens is it adds that trade into our back trades. And now what Thinkorswim is going to do is track what the profit and loss would be on this trade, which is our initial trade. And then it's also going to add in and track the profit and loss on the closing trade. So at the end of it, we would have to physically sum up the difference between what we made on this one and made or lost on this one. That's why it gets a little confusing. We'd rather have you write it down by hand, where you wrote down that you bought it back for the 5 cents, you made an adjustment, found an additional spread, whichever you chose to do, and kept track of it on paper. A lot cleaner method of tracking this, and it'll make a lot more sense to you as you work through it. But now we got this trade in here, we don't want it. To get rid of it, just click on that little X, boom, goes bye-bye. So again, we'll scroll down that. We're pretty much done using back trades. We're not going to analyze that anymore. We may show you how to add in the next month, which we're going to do right now as we move into Chapter 4.